an eye-opener for both of us, I think. And we see that as the turning point of where our marriage started to get better. So.
25 years this year.
So, next weekend, what you do quickly, next weekend is the deadline to sign up and get your 20-hour deposit in. It's 2 days, Friday, Saturday, it might change the course of your marriage. I think that would be worth it. $30 in 2 days. So, what you do quickly, okay? Watch this.
Going in the locker room with that shoulder injury.
Savage is being escorted off the field. What's happened is the week of the season, we're going to do what we always do, stepping up and rallying around whoever is playing quarterback.
We've seen crazier things. We've seen Hostetler take the Giants to a Super Bowl and win. There's always that one guy that we can count on that's ready for this moment. Now it becomes a chess match. Next man up. And he stops.
Just push pause on that. I was going to do something and I forgot, but I was looking for you and I finally found it. Kaylin, would you like to come and bring your parents or whoever you want to bring with you? I want to introduce somebody to you. They slipped in Christmas Eve service and I didn't get a chance to introduce them. This is Kaylin's first Sunday in church. Kaylin Rose, right? Remember that? Kaylin Rose O'Brien. These are her parents, Rachel and Nate. And this is her first Sunday at Crossroads. So be nice to Kaylin. First impressions stick. And so Kaylin, if you could fill out a blue card and drop it in the offering plate at the end of service. Oh, she just picked that. Like, you're weird. Yeah, you'll get used to me. Well, just want to introduce Kaylin to the rest of the church family and congratulate you on another addition to your family. God bless you. All right, well, that clip, if you were here last weekend, may sound familiar because we played it last weekend. And the theme that we were talking about last weekend and this weekend is next man or woman up. Okay, next man up. Last week we began this conversation about developing successors. John Maxwell says there's no success without a successor. Somebody else said it's only as we develop others that we permanently succeed. In the Bible, in business or in life, everyone needs a successor because no one lives forever. Last week we looked at Elijah's successor, Elisha. And we looked at Elisha and the circumstances surrounding God's call-up. We saw that God's call often comes in the midst of the mundane. Remember that Elisha was plowing the field when Elijah came along and said, "You're next." God's call requires sacrifice. You remember what Elisha's response to the call of God was? He burned the plow and sacrificed the oxen and ate the meat. Like his farming days were over, right? God's call requires sacrifice. God's call requires preparation. I said to you last weekend, I don't know what the timing was between 1 Kings 19 and 2 Kings 2. We're going to look at it a little bit later. But there was some time when Elisha received the call, "You're next," and when it was implemented, when he became the next prophet, succeeding Elijah. God's call requires preparation. And then when it's your turn, go for it. So today, I want us to continue to think about this. And I want to think about this. Where are the places where successors are needed? You think about that with me? I'm going to talk to you about 3 places that I think they're needed. Maybe you can add to the list. Where are successors needed? The family? The family's always been and always will be the cornerstone of society. Everyone is born into a family. Even if you never marry, even if you never have kids, your family is pivotal in shaping you, and what you leave to your family, not just money, but in terms of relationships, is the essence of your legacy. So what is being taught? What is being taught at home? What values, what priorities are being passed down? It is my opinion that the most important legacy we leave to our family is faith. 3 John 4. I have no greater joy than this, to hear my children walking in the truth. Patrick Henry, near the end of his life, said this: I have now disposed of all my property to my family. There's one thing more I wish I could give them, and that is the Christian religion. If they had that and I had not given them 1 shilling, they would have been rich. And if they had not that, and I had given them all the world, they would be poor. Somebody else said, children learn to worship and relate to God first and best from their parents. Parents have the responsibility to train their children to know God in a personal way. It's not the role of the church to provide the primary religious instruction for children. I think we've got that backwards in our thinking today. The church is to assist parents by reinforcing what children have already learned at home. Don't expect the church to undo in a couple of hours a week what you've taught the other 166. It is within the family that children will learn together from their parents how to relate to God. Stephen Covey said, the most important work you can do in all the world will be within the walls of your own home. David McKay taught, no other success can compensate for failure in the home. We need successors in the home. So what are you passing along? What is being caught? Now I could talk about any number of positive examples in our church family, but I asked for permission to tell the Evans story today. There they are. Wait for it. There. That beautiful family. Love the Evans family. And they illustrate what it is to prepare the next generation to do God's work, to be involved in His mission. I don't know if this is a secret, I don't know how many people know this, but the Evans family made the decision quite some time ago. I'm thinking it was been over a year ago now, something like that. That on the 4th weekend of the month, they will just scatter around this place and serve on Sunday mornings. So on Saturday night, they show up at Westbrook to hear the sermon, to worship together as a family. So they worship on Saturday, and on Sunday, 4th Sunday, they're in the nursery. Now this isn't the 1 week that they serve. This is the 1 week that they all serve. Because they're serving all over the place. Every week. Stacy is in kids ministry at 9:30. She runs the Wednesday night kids ministry. Molly has been teaching toddler church since she was in the 5th grade. So all you with excuses that, just knock it off, okay? Dylan is now in the 6th grade, and he learned to run the computer on Saturday nights when they would come every month, and then we promoted him to Sunday. He's on the tech team. He's in 6th grade. This is a family that has learned to serve, and they just keep passing it along. I'm really excited because we're having baby number 5. We got another worker. Any day now, right? So I had a conversation with Stacy on the phone. I said, from the outside looking in, it appears as though your family is so easy to just bring to church. I don't see any pushback. I don't see any rebellion. I don't want to go. I don't want to be part of this. Can you share with me so I can share with our church family? What's the secret? She said 2 things. Consistency. You can write that down. Consistency. We just always go to church. It's also part of our life. Faith is part of our family. We don't discuss, are we going to church today? We just go. And then she said this, consistency, and then we ask the question of our kids, where would you like to serve? Did you get the question? They don't ask their kids if they would like to serve. They ask them where they would like to serve because they're wise and they understand that they should be serving, their kids should be serving in the area of their interest, the area of their passion. Consistency. And they ask, where would you like to serve? It's a family that's taking seriously this issue of passing the faith along. Are you raising your kids to be the next man up? Are you passing the faith along? The family. And work. Isn't it obvious? If businesses and trades are going to survive and succeed, they must raise up successors. What does that look like where you work? Are you intentionally investing in someone who may one day take your place? A few businesses even use the terminology apprentice, intern. They seem to understand how important this is. Well, whether you use the terminology or not, what's your plan? What's your business plan? The place where you work. Do you have a way of shaping that at all? Can you contribute to that? You know what saddens me? To see businesses, trades, and skills disappear. So we have a clock. I think it's at least 3 generations old. It belonged first to Cheryl's grandparents, and then it was passed down to Cheryl's father, and then it was passed down to us. It goes at least that far back. It might be older than that, and I just don't know it. And it's a really beautiful little clock. Have you seen the cuckoo clocks with the little mechanism that kind of goes back and forth like this? This isn't a cuckoo clock, but it has a similar mechanism. It's a little girl on like a swing, like a port swing, and the mechanism goes like this. And she swings back and forth on the swing. Except when we got the clock, it was broken. It didn't work. I thought, that's not a problem, just get it fixed. This is a family heirloom. There's no way we're going to stick it away someplace. We're going to use it. Did you know that I searched and searched, I Googled, and I even used a phone book? Do you guys know what a phone book is? It's a little book. It used to be thick, now it's not so thick, but anyways, you could look up things in it, and phone numbers would be in the book, and you could find businesses, all kinds of things in a phone book. I don't know if you've heard about this, but it's a kind of an old thing. Anyways, I used everything I could find to try to find a clock repairman. Did you know in the Kansas City area I couldn't find one single one? Not one. Well, luckily, so you don't worry about the story, Cheryl's uncle likes to fiddle with clocks and watches, and he has the clock now, and they called us the other day, and Cheryl's aunt said, that little girl's a swangin'. They live in southern Missouri. We used to take our shoes to reinforce them and make them last longer, to get those little heel things, put on the bottom so you could get more wear out of your shoe. And then when they wore down, we'd take them back into the shoe repairman. Those are hard to find. There's one that I know of on the Liberty Square. I don't know of any other shoe repairman in the whole Northland. What will happen to your business, to your industry, if it all stops with you? If Jesus is Lord of your workplace, you can't let your business die, at least not without a fight. Paul wrote to the Colossian church and said, you slaves must always obey your earthly masters, not only trying to please them when they're watching you, but all the time. Obey them willingly because of your love for the Lord and because you want to please Him. Work hard and cheerfully at all you do, just as though you were working for the Lord and not merely for your masters, remembering that it's the Lord who's going to pay you. He's the one you're really working for, and if you don't do your best for Him, He will pay you in a way that you won't like. Successors are needed at work. What's your part in that? Successors are needed in church. Now, I don't want to talk just about the church, but we can talk about that, can't we? How are you serving the world Christ died to save? Who are you training? Paul wrote to his apprentice, Timothy,
And he said, "And the things which you have heard from me in the presence of many witnesses, these entrust to faithful men who will be able to teach others also." In that one verse, 2 Timothy 2:2. That's an easy reference to memorize, right? 2:2:2. 2 Timothy 2:2. 4 generations of succession. Paul to Timothy, to faithful men, to others. You see succession in that verse? Christianity is always one generation away from extinction. What's the answer? Invest in others. Well, how do you know when it's your turn? When it's your next man up moment? For Elisha, it was pretty obvious. So here's the rest of the story from last weekend. Okay, 2 Kings chapter 2. Now the time came for the Lord to take Elijah to heaven by means of a whirlwind. Elijah said to Elisha as they left Gilgal, "Stay here, for the Lord has told me to go to Bethel." But Elisha replied, "I swear to God that I won't leave you." So they went on together and stood beside the Jordan River. Then Elijah folded his cloak together and struck the water with it, and the river divided, and they went across on dry land. When they arrived on the other side, Elijah said to Elisha, "What wish shall I grant you before I am taken away?" And Elisha replied, "Please grant me twice as much prophetic power as you've had." Or maybe you know it this way: give me a double portion of your spirit. And Elijah replied, "If you see me," you've asked a hard thing, "if you see me when I'm taken from you, then you will get your request. But if not, then you won't." And as they were walking along talking, suddenly a chariot of fire drawn by horses of fire appeared and drove between them, separating them. And Elijah was carried by a whirlwind into heaven. Elisha saw it and cried out, my father, the chariot of Israel and the charioteers." As they disappeared from sight, he tore his robe, a sign of mourning. Then he picked up Elijah's cloak and returned to the bank of the Jordan River and struck the water with it, and the water parted. And Elisha went across. How do you know when it's your turn? Well, when somebody goes to heaven, it's pretty obvious, right? They need to be replaced. But do we have to wait that long? Pastor friend pastors a church not far from here. Well, he used to. He's gone now. Gone from that church. He's still alive. But he pastored that church for a long time. I don't know exactly how long. I know it was over 20 years. It might have been close to 30 years. And he stood up at one district assembly to give his report, kind of a gathering, accountability time. And he gave his report for that year. And his church is aging, mostly older people. And, he said, "I've just been wondering, why am I still here? Have I stayed too long? Should I move on? Would it be better for the church if I left, if somebody younger, somebody different came and pastored the church?" And he said, there was one old saint that said to me just recently, "You know what, Pastor, I wouldn't want anybody else to do my funeral except you." He said, "So I guess I'm still here because I'm supposed to bury the saints." And then he said, "But some of those old birds just won't die." I thought, that's not very nice to say out loud. Death isn't the only trigger for succession. Pay attention to two things. External circumstances. Ask yourself, am I needed now? Ask yourself, is there a place for me now? Pay attention to the external circumstances. And then also, pay attention to the internal circumstances. The internal nudge, the whisper. We Christians trust God to talk to us. We trust God to lead us, to guide us. I think it was in our 9:30 class a couple of weeks ago, 2 or 3 weeks ago. Somebody in class mentioned, about the voices in his head. I said, no, that's okay. We can talk about that. We're not crazy. We're Christians. We do have voices in our head. It's how God's... Now, don't look at me like that. Come on. If you don't have voices in your head, you need to get with it. Pay attention. That's how God speaks, right? An impression. Something he wants me to do. Something he wants me to say. Someplace he wants me to go. The whispers, the nudge. Pay attention to the divine promptings. Well then, what if I don't know what to do? I feel like God is nudging me, but now what? Well, can I just say, try something. Somebody said, in one success, 1,000 failures may lie hidden, but in one refusal to try, 1,000 successes may prematurely die. Somebody talked about Peter. You remember the story of Peter walking on the water and then he failed because he sank like a rock and took his eyes off Jesus. Person talks about that. He says, it's true that Peter failed, but that's only half the story. Peter walked on the water. The other disciples didn't flounder because they didn't try. Don't be like the faint-hearted who never make a mistake because they never attempt anything. Novelist H.G. Wells held that the only true measure of success is the ratio between what we might have been and what we have become. In other words, success comes as the result of growing to our potential. It's been said that our potential is God's gift to us, and what we do with it is our gift to Him. Would you be willing just to try something? We believe in ministry experiments. Some of them may fail. But in, 1,000 failures? One failure, 1,000 successes. What did I just say? Anybody paying attention to me? Am I the only one paying attention to what I say? Try. Well, what are the barriers to succession? I think this is important to think about. And I've listed 3. You might come up with others that are better. But these are the 3 that come to my mind. Trust, training, and transition. The barriers to succession. Trust. See, mentors and mentees must trust each other. Passing something along requires trust that the person won't drop it. But if you're going to pass something on, you have to let go. Are you being selfish about what you do? Is it your desire to take all your experience and knowledge with you to the grave? Don't do that. Trust. Training. It's one thing not to trust the next man up. It's another thing not to provide adequate training. No Super Bowl winning quarterback was shut out of player meetings. If you have information and knowledge and skill that will help the next person succeed, give it up. Don't hold back. And if you are the next man up, don't skip class. Don't think you already know it all. Receive what is being passed down to you. Transition. We know the critical moment in any relay race is the exchange of the baton. The difference between winning and losing comes in the exchange. Drop the baton and you're disqualified. Muff the exchange and you'll never win. Have you seen some successful transitions? Have you witnessed the dropping of a baton? Be careful. Be intentional. Have a plan. Practice it. Execute it. Your success and the success of others on your team depend on it. Well, I found this guy named Miles Monroe, Dr. Miles Monroe. And he talks about succession. I think what he has to say is really important. Here's what he says. The greatest act of leadership is what happens in your absence. If everything you've done died with you, you're a failure. True leadership is measured by what happens after you die. This is why true leaders don't invest in buildings. Jesus never built a building. They invest in people. Why? Because success without a successor is failure. So your legacy should not be in buildings, programs, or projects. Your legacy must be in people. So the greatest act of a leader is mentoring. Who are you mentoring to take your place? True leaders make themselves unnecessary. Great leaders measure their greatness by their absence. Study Jesus. Listen to his words. He said, it's better for you that I go away. If I do not go away, you won't be great. My absence is your greatness. He proved his greatness by leaving. He left, and his organization grew in his absence. My question is, if you die today, what happens to your organization, your church, your business? If it dies when you die, you're a failure. So I encourage you right now, identify your successors and mentor them and train them. Jesus Christ said to Peter, do you love me? Remember that story? Do you love me? Yes, Lord. Then the company is yours. Feed the people. And he left. What happens in your absence? That's your legacy. Okay, can I get really practical now? I really want you to take this to the marketplace. I really want you to take this to your homes. But can I just kind of get crossroadsy for a little bit? Just for a little bit. When I think about succession, in my mind, in my observation, there are a couple, 2, 3 danger zones that I observe like right now today. In our structure, in our organization, who's doing what around here. Okay? And the first is kids ministry. Now we have a ton of people serving in kids ministry. It takes a lot of people serving kids, from nursery to toddler church to children's church to Wednesday night ministry, 9:30 ministry. It takes a lot of people, especially when we rotate the way we do so that we try not to burn anybody out. So it takes a lot of people, and it probably, I identify it as a danger zone because, first of all, it's probably our most important ministry. Statistically, you just have to agree with that, whether you want to or not. Children's ministry is our most important ministry because if kids don't come to faith in Christ by the time they're kids, we're losing our opportunity. The window is closing quickly. So kids ministry is important for that reason. And I think it's a danger zone because we have a lot of turnover. You know how it works. You parents, you want to do where your kids do. You want to be where your kids are. So your kids are in kids ministry. You're serving kids ministry, and they graduate out of kids ministry, and so do you. So there's a lot of turnover in kids ministry. It's emotionally exhausting sometimes. If you're not wired for it, you shouldn't be serving in kids ministry if you're not wired for it. So let me just say that. But I think it's a danger zone, kids ministry. I think I told you 2 weeks ago, I don't know when it was. I have an email in my inbox that I have responded to now, but I don't know how to respond, frankly. So our toddler church leader, our toddler church team leader, is going to have a baby in a few days, if the baby's on time. And it's not Stacy, it's Stephanie, just so you don't mix up the stories. And right now, we have 2 teachers and we have 2 more. We have helpers, but we don't have teachers in toddler church. That sounds easy. Do you know what toddlers do? They play. If you can't play with a toddler for half an hour, you need to come over to my house and we'll do something for you. I don't know. You can do this. This is not hard. Let me go on. Another danger zone, just from my perspective, just watching, just observing, I could be wrong, is our ministry to the poor. Some people actually have selected our church, they made Crossroads their church home because of our ministry to the poor. Frankly, I think that we should be ministering to the poor. If we're going to be Jesus type, we're going to be Jesus followers. What do you say? As much as you've done it to the least of these, you've done it to me. So to me, it's not an option. It's not, well, shall we or shan't we? We must minister to the poor. So we have two ministries, in case you don't know. One is called Family Promise, and they come into our church. We host them 1 week at a time, 4 weeks in a year, 4 or 5. And it requires on-site hosts. They spend the night in the church. It requires people bringing in food. And it's a small little army that does that. And if we lose 1 or 2 people out of that army's in danger. There's even a smaller group that takes meals to our homeless friends out on the street on Tuesday afternoons. We call it Fishes and Loaves, Loaves and Fishes. I always get that mixed up. A small group of people that does that. If something happens to 1 or 2 of those people, frankly, I don't know what will happen to that ministry. Should we just stop ministering to the poor? Does anybody think that's a good idea? It's a danger zone. I'm just telling you what I see. I'm anticipating some whispers today, just so you know. A third danger zone. This might surprise you, but this is my perspective. You can argue with it. That's fine. It's our music ministry. Our music ministry, that's a strength of our church. I agree with you. But you know what? These guys have been playing like for 18 years in this place. Most of them. A few newcomers in the 18 years, but the foundation of our music ministry hasn't changed in 18 years. Well, okay. I'm the old guy on stage, so I'm going first, you know. But who's coming up behind? I want to ask you, parents, do you have your kids in lessons? And you have them in lessons on purpose so they can be on stage at church one day? Are they? If they're in 5th grade and in public school, you get to be in Kearney, the band. Now there's no orchestra in Kearney, that saddens me, but anyways. They can beat a drum, and somebody will teach them how to do it. They can blow on an instrument. Somebody will teach them how to do it. Who's taking lessons? Now that's an investment. As a parent, we did that. Our kids were on the stage, but they graduated, you know. They didn't come back. It's kind of a bummer, but the good news is they're serving the church in other places. That's not a fail, that's a win. Who's the next man up? What's God whispering to you today? Are you on the sidelines? Are you in the grandstands? Are you on the field? Are you tired? Do you need a rest? Do you need a replacement? Are you about to burn out? Where are you in the story? Next man up. See, I believe that everyone is needed. Everyone is needed. The Bible teaches us that. And I believe that everyone needs to be investing in someone else. Who's your Paul? Who's your Timothy? Who are you mentoring? Formally or informally? Are you getting serious about this? I think it's important. Next man up. Have you got the call? Have you responded? If not, when is it your turn? Are you ready? Are you getting ready? There's a place for you in God's work. Pray with me, please. Father, help us. Your work is so important. What we do in this space, what we do outside this space, what we do in our families, what we do in the workplace is so important. Christianity is not a switch. We know that, Lord. Teach us more and more that Christianity is not a switch we turn off and on. The church isn't a place we go, it's who we are. It's how we relate to you, it's how we relate to the world. Help us to take seriously your call on our lives. And to do what we do with intentionality and purpose. And to be doing it with the long vision in mind. Lord, I pray for young people in our midst. Lord, help us not to make them wait too long. Help us to give them opportunities now, today, to do what they do and do it and gain the pleasure of being involved in mission. Lord, I pray for those that are in the middle of the stream and those that are at the end of the stream. And I pray for all of us, Lord, that we will take seriously this idea of succession, of mentoring, of investing in people. We want your work to last. So help us to get serious. Lord, for those who've heard your whisper today, felt your nudge, I pray that you give them now obedience to follow through, to respond obediently, say yes to you. We need everyone. Lord, help us to do your work your way. Through Jesus we pray. Amen. Well, thanks for being here today. You know, anytime there's anything outside, I just go, oh man, it doesn't take much. People are looking for any reason not to go to church. And I just want to tell you, I appreciate you making the choice to be here today. I'm glad it's not 6 inches of snow. That would have been a harder choice, right? But thanks for being here. And I trust this has been a good investment. Good hour spent together. You've heard from God. And you've felt encouragement, equipping you for the week ahead. Well, we're going to receive an offering. For our guests, we don't anticipate you to participate in the offering we're about ready to receive. But there's a blue card in the offering. There's the seat pocket there. Fill that out, drop it in. If you're interested in marriage enrichment, you don't know what to do, put your information on a blue card. That's an easy way to do anything around here. Blue card, blue card, blue card. Their information out on the information table. I pointed this way, now it's over here. Under the big table, there are brochures. You can sign up on that meeting as well. But marriage enrichment, invest in your marriage. Are you married? You want it to be a good marriage? $30 in 2 days. That doesn't seem like a high price. So, do it. Do it. Do it. All right, let's stand together, sing, and receive our offering.
You lay down your life.
Maybe I did. It's important though. Andy Stanley says this. Sometimes people think preachers want something from their church. Oh, another sermon about service. Oh, pastor wants something from me. Oh, he wants me to sign up. He wants me to want some skin in the game. Got to have some more time. He's wanting this, wanting this, wanting this. Andy Stanley says it this way. We need to teach people, we want something from you. We want something for you. This is the sweet spot of life. To give your life to Christ. To live your life for Him. At home, at work, at church. To give your life to something that matters. I want that for you. I want that for you. If you found it, you're in the sweet spot already. You're singing hallelujah. You know the joy of serving. You know the joy of living in your purpose. If you haven't, oh friend, there's space for you. Join us. Not because I want something from you, but because I want something. I want something for you. When you be the church, that's what we talk about. Here's the question. When's the service begin?
Service begins now.
Bless you.